Hey guys! So I was at the shop, waiting for some glue to dry, just scouting Pinterest, and I found this. I know that the YouTube channels Natural Nerd and DIY Perks also did something very similar. So I already roughly knew what I wanted, and so I started designing. I was definitely going to use my laser cutter for the job, so I made it laser cut friendly and easy to assemble, somewhat. I designed it with 3 acrylic plates like a triangle. The base I made triangle-ish, and I wanted one on the bottom and one on the top so I could have LEDs in both, so I would get enough lighting effects. For the acrylic engraving, I found an image on Google, traced it with Inkscape and imported it to a CAM software that generates the G-code for the laser. After that, I found my materials, loaded the files and started cutting. I started with 3mm MDF for the top and bottom. After that, I put a 3mm acrylic plate in the machine and started the engraving. And if you're wondering, this is my homemade laser cutter and there are upcoming videos about it coming soon. After the engraving, I bumped up the power and cut out the plates. When it was all done, I took all the parts out of the machine and cleaned the 3 engraved plates. I fiddled around to see if things fit and tested if the engraving pattern was deep enough for the light to get absorbed. Everything seemed okay, so I started mounting the LEDs. I traced the outline for where the LEDs should be centered and glued them on. Then I put solder on the LED strips and connected them together to complete the circuit. The RGB LEDs are the super cool WS2812Bs, which are individually addressable, so the possibilities are endless. I'm going to use an Arduino Nano to control them, as Adafruit has an easy library called NeoPixel that simplifies everything. As I have LEDs in the bottom and top, I need to wire the 5 volts, ground and the data pin from the bottom LED strips to the top ones. I made a hole in both cases where I put a 5mm carbon tube with a 3-wire cable inside of it to connect them. Finally, I could assemble it and off-screen write some code to control all 54 LEDs and map them for each of the plates. And this is how it turned out. I really like the fading from the top LEDs to the bottom LEDs, as the plate really does get a two-toned color while fading. In complete darkness, this thing is bright. I mean, really bright. Since I made these videos, I have made some changes. For example, to hide the electronics, I have made this small box. And instead of using an Arduino Nano, I have changed it to an ESP8266 with built-in Wi-Fi to be able to control the triangle LED sign via the network. I've also tried cutting some other plates where I painted the backside black and laser engraved them to see how it would look. And that also looks pretty darn good. However, I like the first ones more, but occasionally I change the plates just to mix it up a bit. If I were to do this again, I would make it a bit bigger and try and hide the laser cut seams in the top and bottom cases so it doesn't look like a puzzle, or by making it a solid lump of material like wood or plastic with the CNC. I would also fit the electronics inside of the bottom base with an on-off switch and a power plug for easier handling, maybe even a light sensor so it could change its brightness automatically depending on the surrounding light. All in all, a nice project, and it has been shining around our shop for over a year now, so it's stable as well. Thanks for watching, see you next time.